Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is A Course in Miracles 365, Awakening to Love. I'm Reverend Tomas, and we've got a choice today. You've got a choice today. Which is it going to be? You have one choice between two options, exactly two, and only two, not 8 billion, not 100 million, or any other number larger than one choice between two options. You may know where I'm going with this. So we're talking about chapter 1, part 5 here in the text of A Course in Miracles. It's the section entitled Wholeness and Spirit, and it talks about a recurring theme here in the Course, and that is that we have a choice. We do have a choice that is never taken away from us, which is nice, but we have a choice between exactly two options. It's one single choice. So it's not like going to the supermarket and seeing an array of fresh fruits and vegetables and having a choice to make. It's not like choosing among options in that way. We have a choice between love or fear, between the thought system of the Holy Spirit and the ego, between God and the ego, between light and dark, life and death, self with a capital S, lowercase s, self. In other words, the ego. We have a choice right now. And that choice is never taken away from us. This is a recurring theme here in A Course in Miracles, and we're talking about that here. It's a prominent component of this entire thought system. And rather than serve as something that troubles you, I want to invite everyone to consider this to be a beautiful thing, that we have what we call free will, the ability to choose, which is not stripped away from us or taken away from us, unlike what people may tell themselves in the world, unlike what you may have told yourself. We're so fond here in the world of saying that we don't have a choice, of playing the victim. You may not call it that, but that's what it is, isn't it? I mean, it really is. This is an honest adult endeavor, i.e., spiritual practice, isn't it? So we've got to call it what it is at some point. One of the reasons why the workbook for students has a lesson that is where the idea is, I am not a victim of the world I see, is because we need that reinforcement, because we want to play that victim. We are fond in life of saying, I don't have a choice. It's just the way it is. I don't have a choice but to be oppressed. It's just the way it is. I don't have a choice but to limit myself. It's just the way it is. And on and on and on and on. We do this in so many ways, countless ways, don't we? Just being honest. It's pretty important. That's why this is a workbook lesson. We limit ourselves so much. And there comes a time where we're sick, frankly. Are you sick of the limitations? And you want the alternative, which is who we really are, limitless. Limitless. No limits of any kind. Love, joy, life itself. It doesn't feel good to limit ourselves, does it? Think of all of the limits that you have placed on yourself. I mean, here in the study of spirituality, specifically this course, we're encouraged to take a look at all of this. It starts with how we label ourselves. It starts with our own label of ourselves as individuals, as man, woman, child, member of a certain ethnic group, resident of a certain nation state, things like that. Everything, all of the labels that we place upon ourselves are, in fact, limitations. And then we go on to further limit ourselves. And in our own self-talk, we're fond of saying, well, I can't do this, I can't do that. I'm this way, but not that way. And we divide and classify and subdivide until we make ourselves upset and sick. I mean, are you sick of limiting yourself yet? Now, this is not a business seminar. This is A Course in Miracles. And, well, we limit ourselves in every aspect of life. But really, are you sick of limiting yourself yet? And you don't have to answer yes to that. Remember, we have a choice between exactly two options. This means that we can choose to delay. And we frequently do. We can choose to delay. We can run and hide. We can go occupy our minds with something else. We can occupy it with our Twitter feed. We can occupy it with other videos. We can occupy it with anything else. But here you are. Here you are. This is what I appreciate more than anything else is your own commitment to spirituality and your own commitment to practice. The fact that somewhere, somehow, I don't know where or when or how, and I'm not sure you're consciously aware of it either. Sometimes we're not, but you've had this conversation with yourself that I want the peace of God. That's what I want. It doesn't even have to arise consciously. There can be an intuitive hit, can't there? There can be a deep inner knowing, something that spurs us on to seek spiritual growth, as we call it, in the world. It's a beautiful thing. Keep listening to that inner voice. It's your inner teacher speaking to you. How cool is that? So several important points here in this section. The mind and the body are learning aids. This course makes very clear for everyone that studies it that we're not a body. We're not a body. Our reality is spirit, and the mind, therefore, and the body are learning aids. The course makes absolutely no bones about it, right? We're not a body. It makes this absolutely clear. Now, we don't have to be willing to accept that. We can deny that if we want to. Remember, we have a choice that is not taken away from us. We can choose to say, yeah, I don't think that's true. That is BS. We can use more expletives than that, and frequently do. Feel welcome to insert your own language on that one. We don't have to believe anything that any spiritual teacher says. You don't have to believe what appears to be coming out of my mouth right now. It's up to you, right? It's up to you. But somewhere along the line, we all make the choice for love. We all make the choice for self with a capital S, whatever you want to call it. Right? We all make that choice eventually. This section goes on to talk about this choice, and spirit who we are is not changeable, it's unalterable, it's permanent. Ideas leave not their source. We've never left our source, but we have the free will to run around thinking we're something else. We can certainly do that. Well, and we're here because we have done that. So we can take our time on this. This is, after all, a self-study course, right? The only limit on our choice here is that we can't serve two masters. You may remember some lines from the Bible on this about not being able to serve two masters. The reality is that our choice is total. Each thought system that we choose between right now is a total, complete thought system. I'm referring to the thought system of the Holy Spirit, God, love, versus the ego here. And it's not really versus as in a competition with opposites, because of these two choices, one is real and the other one is not. So which will you choose? One that's real or one that's not? If you ever hit a point in your studies of this material where it feels like you're hitting a wall and things aren't really making sense, I invite you to come back to the summary of A Course in Miracles. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Who we really are cannot be threatened. It is unalterable. It's permanent. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. And the choice that we make means everything, doesn't it? Which trajectory are you on? Because we have a choice. When this course says you can't serve two masters, our choice is actually total. As we say when we talk about forgiveness, or forgiveness is either total or it's not at all. We can't keep certain little hatreds for our political enemies, for our ex, right? For someone that we don't like. We can't forgive some people and not others. It's either total or it's not at all. And why would that be? Well, there are no others. The Son of God is one. One. That's all the math that's required here with this course, which may be a good thing. Right? Personally, I never was very good at math, so this is really helpful. One. There is a lot that can be said about this and every section of A Course in Miracles, but this is the highlight here for today. Is we have a choice. One choice is real, the other option is not. One leads to the peace of God, the other keeps us stuck. One is happiness and joy, the other is pain and sorrow, frustration. The apparent warfare that we've got here in the world, and I'm not referring to bombs and tanks and airplanes necessarily, although that is one of the ways in its extreme that it plays out. I'm talking about psychological warfare that exists between people, defining and defending personal territory, competing with one another, hierarchies of any kind. all of that, which keeps us stuck. The more we choose the ego, the more we're stuck. How do we get out of it? Choose the Holy Spirit. Choose your guide. Remember, A Course in Miracles is just one of many doors in spirituality. There are many, because some will speak to some people more than others, obviously, right? It's a good thing. It's a good thing. So whichever door or doors you've opened, explore. Yeah. Ask your inner teacher for guidance. The more you forgive, the more we clear the blocks to our awareness of love, of truth, of love's presence. It's who we are. This choice is something that we'll come back to again and again. And why do we need to do that? Because we forget, right? I mean, we forget. Who doesn't get wrapped up in what we call daily life? Who doesn't get distracted? There are so many distractions. There are things that we have to attend to, like putting the dog outside, like eating, sleeping, paying the light bill. Every now and then, as much as we may hate to do it, we've got to check our email, things like that. There are so many things that pull our attention away from spiritual practice that the more we can bring our attention back, the better. So we keep functioning in daily life, pay the light bill, feed yourself, things like that. Yes, but the more we forgive, the more we come to experience all of this differently. Things may not bother you the way they used to. That's one indication that this is clearly working. We'll all have days where it feels like it's not, but what we're reassured about here in this course is that the miracle operates on the unconscious. It operates in ways that we are not aware of, in ways that we cannot even imagine. So what I invite you to do is keep forgiving. It may help to view life, daily life, as an ongoing meditation, with this material being the breath, the object of meditation, sound, or a visualized image, if you prefer. Whatever that is, in meditation, there is an object of meditation in many varieties of including what we often refer to as meditation. There's an object that we place our awareness on. So consider your forgiveness, the miracle, that object. Sounds funny to say it that way, right? Because it's not a thing, it's not an object. But for the purposes of this visual, consider it the object of meditation. When you notice yourself carried away, bring your awareness back without judgment, without thinking about it as right or wrong, or calling yourself a slacker because you didn't remember the day's workbook lesson for many hours. Hell, there were whole days where I forgot about it. I didn't even think about it until I picked up the workbook the next day and I realized, oh, I didn't do any of those practice periods yesterday. That especially happened the first time I went through it. It's common. So if that's happening to you, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Happily, we can choose to repeat a day's lesson. I often did that because some of them resonated so deeply with me that I wanted to work with it and sit with it longer. So yeah, as long as we don't do more than one a day, there's nothing wrong with that. So just know that your inner teacher is working on levels that you cannot even imagine. That's enough. That's really all that we need to know. Our job is to forgive what's right in front of us, right? It's to forgive what's showing up. And if it helps to view your daily life as a living, breathing, waking meditation, so be it. When you notice yourself distracted, not if, but when, bring your awareness back. Recite the day's workbook idea, forgive. Check in with your inner teacher and ask for guidance. There are many ways to do this. Many ways. All right. So thank you, as always, for tuning in and joining me. And a welcome, special welcome to all of the new subscribers here. There are a number of you. Thank you so much for joining me. I want to make sure that you're aware that questions are welcome, more than welcome. Comments, questions, if you've got them, leave them here. And here's the red arrow. That's the subscribe button. I'd love to have you join us here. And yeah, let's all keep going. Let's keep forgiving and keep choosing love. Keep choosing God. Keep choosing our higher self, life, light. We have a choice. We can run and hide, or we can, as this section says, collapse time. How does that happen? The more we forgive, we don't need to go through and experience those forgiveness lessons again. We don't have to understand exactly how it all works, but that's how it does. And we trust the strength of our inner teacher. Remember, the bulk of the healing is taking place unconsciously. Ours is to forgive what's in front of us, relax, and trust in the strength of our inner teacher, who is part of us. All right, guys. Thank you, as always, for joining me.